Hello and welcome to The Dark Roast. I'm Donna Stroll with the always lovely and talented 𝗺𝗱𝗄. And today's topic is no click left behind. And basically it's about monetizing your non-converting traffic, because most affiliate and online marketers are obsessed with one thing, and that is getting more traffic. And the reason for that is more traffic means the opportunity for more sales. But the uncomfortable truth is that most sites, 90 to 95% of that traffic never actually buys. They definitely don't buy the main offer. They don't join that email list, and then it never gets touched again. So today's topic is going to try and fix that. So we're going to talk about how to monetize non-converting traffic so that almost every visitor either makes you money now or becomes an asset that you can monetize later on. And this is for our intermediate affiliates and also our beginners, right? So let's get started.
You gotta think of it in terms of e-commerce, right? So we've all done that thing where we've gone and looked at a website and maybe we've even put a few themes in the cart. There's two things that happen with that website, right? One, there's a pop-up that is like, oh, we'll send you a discount, give us your email address. And now they've started asking or requiring phone numbers, which I click away from those right away because I don't give my phone number out. But the other thing that happens is maybe you put stuff in the cart and then go, let me sleep on it because I'm not sure if this is just an impulse buy or if this is something I actually need. And the next morning you wake up to an email that says, hey, you forgot this in your cart, right? Abandoned cart emails are so helpful for physical products, but they can also be utilized very well for digital products.
So the first thing you need is a mindset shift, because traffic is getting more expensive. It's not just you, right? Ad platforms are definitely becoming more competitive. AI summaries and zero-click results are stealing that attention, because when you go to look for something, you're going to get that AI summary, and there'll be links in there, but do we know if those links are also not monetized to get there, right? So you're paying or working hard for the clicks that you have or that you're getting, and then people are bouncing with nothing in return. That's frustrating. You're falling behind because of that. And not every visitor is ready to buy your core offer. And that's a reality, right? Some landed on the wrong page. Some are just researching. I'm a researcher, right? Some don't trust you yet, and that's fair, right? You're still building that. And others are just simply not the right fit for whatever particular offer it is that they decided to click through and take a look at. So when you're thinking in terms of buyers versus non-buyers, you miss a bit of a nuance there. Instead, we want you to look at every visitor as one of four things: a potential ad impression, a potential email subscriber, a potential low ticket buyer, right? Or a potential future partner or a referrer. And so they have value even if they didn't click and buy your main offer, right? The job of your funnel is not just to make a sale or fail, right? It's to capture as much value as possible from that click that you're going to get in a way that still respects user experience, right? That's important because we always talk about respecting your customers.
This is where we talk about email lists and things like that, right? Because the email list and the lead capture and whatnot can really turn a no into a not yet, which is super valuable. Most online marketers will tell you that the money's in the list because that's where they make the bulk of their money, right? The commissions, the front end sales are great, but that list is what keeps, again, the people returning so that they can tell them about new offers. They can offer them new products. They can offer them exclusives, things like that, and really build out that revenue stream. So ads are great for turning anonymous visitors into potential revenue, but if you can turn them into leads, even if they're sort of cold leads that are opening your emails and interested in what you want to say, then you're going to get a much stronger return on investment. Especially if you put in the work to personalize those emails and do your copyright properly and whatnot. Yeah, that is where the strategy comes into play. That is where you're no longer throwing spaghetti at the wall. And that's how you can turn non-buyers into subscribers, which will eventually potentially turn into buyers. So you have to ask yourself, why would a stranger give me their email address today, right? Because that's really the question.
Yeah, it's a big one too, right?
Yeah.
So in a situation like that, for cold or low intent visitors, your lead magnet needs to feel low friction and immediately useful to them. So there are a few examples that work well. So checklists or cheat sheets, something that doesn't require a lot of involvement from them, but does help give them an overall. So it condenses your main plan into content that is actionable for them. And that's important because it's a tool, it's a free tool, they can utilize it. It doesn't require a lot of effort. That's huge. Comparison charts, so tool A versus tool B, or a budget versus a premium stack. Mini email courses is another one, very simple. It keeps them engaged, looking forward to the next one, as long as it's not overwhelming, to produce a specific outcome within the next 5 to 7 days. So you're not trying to teach them the world, you're just giving them a mini course on how to solve a single problem. And I think that's really huge. We trying to keep it simple. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to make the opt-in offer visible in smart places. So inline forms inside your content, exit intent pop-ups, like you said, for the people who are about to leave, sticky bars at the top or the bottom so they can see it very easily. They don't have to go searching for that thing. Content upgrades is another one that match a specific blog post or a tutorial that you've put out. That way that once people join, you can segment them by whatever it is that their interest is and what their intent may have been. This can be as simple as tagging them based on which magnet they opted in for. So you don't have to get too crazy about it. You can just say, oh, they did this, so this is what they're more interested in. Keeps it a lot easier for you and for them.
This is where your CRMs and your content automation, your email automation are going to come in handy, because those tags are really beneficial for building out separate email lists and knowing how that customer came into your database in the first place. And so here, if it's somebody who didn't buy, who abandoned, that's your welcome sequence, right? You've probably heard that term before. That is where it's a short series of emails that your new subscribers should get automatically if you built it correctly, which introduces you, delivers the lead magnet, tells your story, helps you build trust, and then gradually you can start introducing offers. So your first one should be hey, welcome, here's your lead magnet kind of theme. The second one should teach them something valuable that goes hand in hand with that lead magnet. So case studies, a small loophole, lessons learned that you have learned over the years, things like that. Your third email, share your story and your why, because you don't know what content on social media they saw. And you can link this to videos. You can put videos in the emails as well. You just kind of share why you're doing what you're doing, why you're willing to help others, and then maybe put in a soft recommendation. And then 4 to 5 is where you can really start to present your core offer backed by proof and things like that.
And your core offer, or maybe you have 2 or 3 offers, right? You're just going to pick the one that's the most relevant to whatever that they clicked on to get where they are on your list, right? And then you want to protect your list. That's a big one. You keep your deliverability strong, because you can get hit pretty hard and end up losing a lot if you're not staying on top of it. You got to watch who opens, who clicks. You send higher frequency, offer heavy emails only to the people who are engaging, right? Keep the lower frequency, value focused emails to the rest of the people that are on your list, because you're keeping them engaged without bombing them, because that's a good way to get somebody to unsubscribe pretty fast. Your non-converting traffic then becomes a pool of potential buyers that you can nurture over time, instead of that one-shot opportunity and you're one and done and you're out, or having them just disconnect and say, no, I don't want to be sold to in every single email. I signed up because I was getting good information, and this has nothing to do with me. So
I think once you've gotten really good at that, that's where you can start looking at smart advertising. It's the most straightforward leverage, of course, is going to be advertising, right? These big businesses have a huge marketing and advertising budget for a reason. So if you're getting traffic but not many sales, you can use ad network to start generating more revenue from your page views alone, which is super beneficial on most of the platforms now. And so for smaller publishers, this means there's increasingly more ad network with low or medium traffic requirements, which is really nice, right? So you don't need to have a massive site to get started. You don't need to be massively successful already. You have your classic display ads like your banners or your native units, things like that. Facebook, of course, is integrating ads into more and more spaces, which is really upsetting a lot of people, but it's the reality of what the platform is becoming, in between content units that show between page views, things like that. And then carefully thought out and curated exit or pop-up style ads when someone is on your site is going to be super beneficial as well. I would say test these really, really hard before you launch them. I have run into many instances across many different funnel builders where it's supposed to do it on exit, but it does it like within 3 seconds of them visiting the site, or it's supposed to do it 10 seconds in and it does it right away, which can deter a lot of people. So this is where we say test, 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 right? Always test what you're doing.
Introduce anything new, you want to make sure, because this is something that you're trying to utilize to help retention, not repulsion.
Yeah. Yeah, so those ads can definitely help bring that traffic there. But again, balance is super important in both your ad spend and your website. So your website shouldn't look like a slot machine. There's an episode of The Simpsons where he builds the best site in the world and he's just stolen a bunch of stuff from everybody else and it's just a hodgepodge of nonsense. You want your site to be clear, user-friendly, and also help you capture those not yet buyers.
And this is where one of those funnel things where you make it easy for them to find that link. And if that means that you put it in 4 or 5 times so that they're not scrolling to the point where they're just show me, or just how do I, that can be incredibly frustrating for people. So your goal is to reduce frustration, provide information, and give them the opportunity to commit without commitment. Because sometimes that's all they need, is they need the ability to commit without feeling like they have to spend a lot of money to do it. And that gets them on your list. And when that gives them the opportunity, it gives you the opportunity to nurture that. And then there's also the micro offers, right? Or tripwires. Not every person that comes to your funnel or clicks your link is ready to buy the whole thing, right? They're not ready for the big meal. They just want to nibble. They just want to test it out. And that's where your micro offers or your tripwires come in. These are low ticket but high value offers, often between the $7 and $27 range. Sevens are still popular. And it gives new leads a chance to become customers with risk or with very little risk. And it also gives them an opportunity to get to know you and what you are actually offering. So they might have been curious. These are the curious people, right? They're curious. They want to know what it is, but they don't want to dive in for that full $2,700 course. They're not ready for that. They just want to know what you've got. So a bundle of templates or scripts or a mini video workshop or a resource vault or a toolkit. These are things that you can offer for a lower value or a lower cost, but they still have a high value to the person who's getting them. And you can present these offers in different places. So on the thank you page, if someone opts in for a freebie, that's a good place. A limited time offer in like one of your email sequences that you're sending out, or maybe even as an order bump. If somebody buys something else, you can put that as a, hey, you might also like this. The goal isn't to get rich off of these. Some people do make a lot of money off of these. So don't say that you can't. But that's not the goal. The goal is to offset any ad spend or things that you've bought, qualify certain buyers, and then move those non-buyers into buyers of your higher value tickets. But it's just one step at a time. This is another step closer to them maybe buying that main thing that you have out there.
Love it. There's a couple other ways with like sponsorships and partnerships and whatnot that you can also monetize beyond just ads and emails and micro offers. If you've tightly defined your niche and your audience is valuable to other brands, they might reach out. You might be able to sell sponsorship placement on your newspaper or a newsletter on your site. CPA or affiliate deals for complementary tools, services, things like that match your audience but maybe aren't your main focus. And again, these can be done as affiliate links as well, but sponsored offers sometimes will pay more and be more lucrative for you. So you weigh the pros and cons before you do any of that. And then we talked about it before, micro influencers or other creators, right? Do content swaps, do content together. Things like that can really help expose you to new traffic as well as expose them to new traffic. And also maybe showcase another side of your personality or something like that. And so these are all things that don't require a huge audience. Sponsorships, sometimes they do look at your audience size and your engagement and things like that. But it's a matter of how focused and engaging your audience really is, which we've talked about before, right? If you have 1 million followers and none of them are engaging, you basically have nothing. But if you have 10,000 followers that are all engaging, that's gold, right?
Yeah.
And brands see that. And so that is huge. And that's where, again, you don't want to be taking the shortcut, which we talked about in the previous episode. You don't want to be doing those things. You want to build that genuine connection because it's going to compound over time.
Absolutely. It's a numbers game, but that number has to actually have value. Not all numbers have value, right? That's where vanity metrics can get marketers into a lot of trouble. And then, of course, as always, data testing and the no-click left behind framework. So you want to turn it into a simple framework. The first track is you got to track a few core metrics. Your revenue per 1,000 visits, your email opt-in rate, percentage of visitors who actually join your list, earnings per subscriber, how much an average subscriber is worth over a period of time, and earnings per click, especially from emails. You don't need to be a data scientist. I know that whenever we get to data, I always worry people are like, no, but the reality is it's very important. Right? Rose knows.
Oh yeah. And a lot of your CRMs and autoresponders are going to have a lot of this data that they'll automatically send out to you as well, right? Because how your list is performing is important to them as well. So you want to look at what page is bringing the most traffic, what pages have the highest opt-in rate. And this is where, again, data over emotion, right? You might have built out one page that you think is amazing and built out another one that you think is crap, but that's how all the gurus told you to do it. And the one you think is crap is converting. There's a reason for that. So look at that. And then, what emails or offers are generating opens, first of all, and then sales.
Yeah. And there's a simple testing ladder that you can utilize. You test the placements first, where your ads, opt-ins, and offers actually show up. Then test your creatives. And I know that a lot of us want to test our creatives first. That's your headlines, your buttons, your images, and then you test the offers. Different tripwires, different affiliate programs, or bundles that you've put together, and see which one is having the most impact on your clicks and your retention levels. And then you want to set a reminder once a month to do this monetization review. Pull up your top 5 pages, maybe your top 10, depending on how many you got going on, by traffic, and ask, how can I get a bit more value from each of these without actually hurting what I've got going down here, right? Because that's the big thing. You don't want to damage yourself by trying to squeeze every last red cent out of it, but at the same time, you are trying to maximize the returns that you're getting and the clicks that you're getting and the traffic that you're getting, but without it being harmful to you, to not just maybe losing people, but also losing that trust or that engagement that you're so desperately trying to get. So
this sounds like a lot, but it's really, really easy to put into practice, right? So if you are running ads, or if you've got placements on your blog, things like that, either add some value or clean up where your placements are, right? Maybe you're putting your ad at the bottom of your blog, try putting it in the top or in the middle, and see if that helps. Again, this is if you're running any ads. If you're just starting out, you don't necessarily need to run ads, especially if you're not doing a faceless program like we've talked about before. And then you want to make sure that you're limiting your clutter, right? Most people will look at a long paragraph and they won't even read it. And this is where breaking your information into chunk blocks is super important, because people just don't have the attention span that they used to.
Especially online, it literally just looks like just a block of black and white, and it's very too long, didn't read.
Yeah. And then after you've done that, look at launching or improving your lead magnet, right? So maybe you're launching a new one, or maybe you're just going to improve the one that you have. Choose a problem that your audience has, create that one-page solution, and make sure that it is marketed in that way, right? You don't want to be like, oh, I have a free handout in the comments, just comment this. And if you don't tell them what it's about, what the content is, or what the meat of the free lead magnet is, why are they going to click?
Yeah. You just want my email. What am I getting, really?
Yeah.
And then you want to build a small 3 to 5 email welcome sequence where you're introducing yourself, you're delivering some real value that's going to actually be beneficial, and then make one relevant offer. And it doesn't have to be the giant offer, right? Again, I think that's important, that we have to remember that we can always lead people to that bigger offer by starting with the smaller things. And then on the last day, you want to add a micro offer. Or add a sponsor or an affiliate block, something that's going to work. Put a low ticket product or a high affiliate offer on your thank you page. And or you could put it in your welcome sequence as well. But so you're just putting that offer out there, and it could be, like I say, with a sponsor or something like that, where you're giving them a percentage off if they follow this link, that kind of stuff. If you do it, you'll start being able to turn those non-converting traffic into ad revenue or subscribers or low ticket buyers. And that's always a great way to move them where you want them to be. Because you don't necessarily have to double your traffic to get a bump in income. You just have to be extracting more value in an ethical way. I think it's important to note, in an ethical way from the visitors that you're already getting.
Yeah. And just like we talked about before, content, right? Your messaging has to be clear, your CTA has to be clear, and it has to exist, right? Don't just put the link in. Again, make sure they know what the link goes to, what it's about. And again, test your links. Make sure that you're not saying, oh, you click here for a free handout, and then they click the link and it takes them to a sales page for a $2,000 system, right? All these things are super important. Again, not just in keeping your trust, but in building that long-term revenue stream. So always help you guys out. I know there's a lot of information here. Email lists can be daunting. We've talked many times about you don't have to send an email every day. Even after that welcome sequence, you can continue to email them, but maybe once a week or twice a week if they're a really engaging person. But all of these things go hand in hand with everything else that we've ever talked about, right? Where it's building the system properly, building it with data over emotion, and setting you guys up for real long-term success.
The goal is always long-term success. So, and if you found that this episode was helpful to rethink about how you're treating your traffic, I will post a link to a free non-converting traffic monetization checklist that I put together for you guys. It's just a simple one page, nothing too fancy dancy, just something for you to sort of go through and check off. Am I doing this? Do I need to do this? Just something to help bring that focus in for you. It walks through the steps that we talked about today. So very simple. All right. Other than that, I think that's it for today. So have a great weekend, everyone. Bye. That's it from us. If this episode helped you,
or at least entertained you,
go ahead and like, subscribe, and share.
We'll catch you next time.